Hey everybody, Pastor Dan here. Happy Wednesday. Happy last day of January to anyone who's watching this video when it comes out on our newsletter. As you've heard me say at least a dozen times by now, January is stewardship month for us here at Brockport First Baptist. Want to give a huge shout out and thank you to everyone who has turned in a pledge card already. Those help church leadership to budget and plan as we move toward our next fiscal year, which begins in June. So thank you if you've turned that in. If you are planning to turn in a pledge card and you haven't yet, that is okay. There's still time, but we do ask that you get those pledge cards to us by this Sunday so that we can start that planning. A few weeks ago after worship, we had a congregational business meeting where we talked about a whole host of financial stuff. It was a well-attended meeting, but I've heard from a number of you who weren't able to come out for one reason or another, whether the snow or sickness or what have you. So in this video, I want to give you some of the highlights of that meeting, some of the stuff that you missed, just to keep you up to speed, up to date. And you're also going to find the minutes for that meeting and the slides we showed in that meeting, all linked in the description to this video below. With that out of the way, let's get into it. We started off our business meeting with some really good news. First, at the end of calendar year 2023, we paid off the mortgage on the church roof, which is huge. 20 years ago, our church borrowed from the bank to be able to put a new slate roof on the building, on the church. And thanks to so many of you, so many people who have faithfully given toward that mortgage over the last 2 decades, we have now paid it off. That is a huge financial burden to no longer be under as a congregation. That's piece of good news number one. Second piece of good news is that we are in the black so far this fiscal year. We have brought in more money than we've spent, which is also amazing and something to celebrate. Normally, by this time in the fiscal year, we're a little bit more than halfway through our financial year right now. We're normally at a shortfall. In fact, the January meeting is often used for church leadership to come and get approval from the congregation to draw money from our endowment in order to pay, to cover the difference and to get back into the black. We don't have to do that this year, which is amazing. And again, it's thanks to all of you who faithfully support the work of our church. But a little background on how we did that, how we've made up that difference. It's something that I think everyone in our church should know and be able to celebrate. This time last year, we had 51 households who gave regularly to our church. It's 51 households who, whether they were giving, once a year, once a month, once a week, 51 households that we could track and know, okay, they're supporting our church regularly. Now we have 65. Which means in the last year, we added 14 regularly giving households to our congregation. That is a combination of folks who didn't give in the past, beginning to give, folks who gave sporadically, starting to give more regularly, and a huge chunk of that is new people giving to our church. If you come to worship on a Sunday morning, you see a lot of new faces in our church, especially over the last year, and many of those people are supporting the work of our church. So again, huge thing to celebrate, being in the black, and thank you to all of you who made that possible. On the slightly less uplifting front, that was the good news. The more challenging news that we were able to share at the meeting is that we are looking at a number of major building projects, major repairs that are needed to our church building in the next 5 to 10 years. There's all sorts of details about that in the slides and in the minutes. Again, that's all linked in the description of this video. But the biggest example has to do with the parts of our roof that weren't replaced 20 years ago. When we got the new slate roof, we didn't touch the flat sections of the roof. The folks who did the roof told us you got about 20 years before you need to worry about any of the flat sections of the roof. Well, that was 20 years ago, and sure enough now, we're looking at a lot of repair work that's needed on those flat sections of the roof. There's also the tutor section in the back of the church where we've got wood rot that's coming in, and a number of other building projects that need to start happening in the next couple of years. And one of the things we talked about in the congregational business meeting is how we're going to go about raising money and tackling that stuff. First, on the stewardship front, in previous years, there's always been the option to contribute to the roof fund. That's the money that goes directly to paying off the roof mortgage. We don't need to pay that off anymore, but we are going to keep that fund and we are renaming it the Building Maintenance Fund. And we're asking for the folks who've been contributing towards paying off that roof mortgage to continue giving to support these major building projects. Again, this building maintenance fund is not going to be used to, pay for heating and air conditioning and basic maintenance type stuff. This is a new fund to tackle these major building related projects that we're looking at in the next couple of years. And again, we showed a lot of numbers and stuff like that in the meeting. But one of the things we pointed out is that if everyone who's been contributing to the roof fund continues to give that same amount toward this new building fund, and then if everyone who currently supports our church but doesn't give to that roof fund, if we all give just $20 a month, $5 a week toward that building maintenance fund, that all combined would generate more than $2,000 a month. So, as you are thinking about your own stewardship, your own giving to the church, as you're praying and reflecting on where God's calling you to support us in this season, if you're feeling that call to give more, we are encouraging people to really consider a monthly gift beyond tithes and offerings to that building fund. But that's not all we're doing. We are also putting together 2 teams to help start tackling these building related issues. The first is a maintenance team, a group of folks who have skills in fixing stuff. We've got some electricians in our church. We've got a plumber. We are hoping to get all the handy people in our church together so that we can tackle as many of these building projects on our own as possible and reduce those costs. The second team we're putting together is a building fundraising team. This is for anyone who has experience in fundraising. If you have experience writing grants, if you just care about this building and want to help us raise money to cover the repair work that's going to be needed in the next few years, contact the church, let us know, and we will put you on that building fundraising team. That's the major stuff we talked about in our Congregational business meeting a couple weeks ago. Again, you can read those resources linked down in the description of this video if you want more information. Contact the church with any questions or to let us know if you're up for serving on one of these teams. Thank you so much for watching this video and for continuing to support all the work of our church. I'll see you at church this Sunday. Grace and peace.